Dubbed as the state-of-the-art facility, the San Fernando Teaching Hospital is now an extension of the San Fernando General Hospital. It will house an outpatient clinic, various wards, a diagnostic testing center, a laboratory, a pharmacy, and a lecture hall. This is according to Minister of Housing Dr. Rudal Munilal. He was speaking today at the commissioning of the teaching hospital.
This is yet another example of the care and effort we are taking not only to build and provide much needed facilities for citizens, but to maximize the value of this spending to better position our citizens for our continuing development. In all, 17 North American and internationally recognized codes and standards have been applied in the construction of this facility. It has 100% self-power generating capacity, so that in the event of a power outage, services will continue unabated and without risk to patients.
And Prime Minister Kamala Persad-Bissessek commended UDCOT and the contributing parties to the successful completion of the building. Calling it a mammoth undertaking, she described the hospital as a critical project which will increase development and benefit the entire country.
This project then represents really a flagship project for us. I've always said that my administration, my government will not be marked by high-rise buildings. That will be one that will be people-centered, that will be one that will build hospitals, it will be one that will build schools, it will be one that will put down the infrastructure needed to open up the entire country. And sometimes we do get some, some differences of opinion as to what is necessary and what is required. And even this project, there were concerns that we should convert it and keep it as commercial space and office space, that we should open up a car park and have the car park and so on. Yes, we need all those things, but then a person cannot enjoy any of that if that person is ill or dead.
The Prime Minister also revealed that the next teaching hospital will be commissioned in El Dorado in 2013.
That not only will this hospital provide us with better health care, but as Dr. Khan has pointed out, it will be a teaching facility, and so we'll also be growing in the education sector. This is not just for the teaching aspects of it. Here will be married with our newly opened facility at El Dorado, a nursing facility for training of over 2,000 nurses for Trinidad and Tobago. We will commission that facility early in the new year.
Christy Kali Singh, 7 Eyewitness News.
We stand united in the belief that if you empower a community, the community empowers the country.
We are the party that gave every child a secondary school education since 2001.
By building more schools in 11 years than others did in 40. We believe that no child,
rich or poor, should be left behind.
Which is why we give every 4-month student a laptop to expand their minds and their dreams.
We are the party that put police cars back on the streets
and gave the police a $1,000 bonus, because we believe that we should support the persons who are protecting you.
We are the party that reduced the murder rate to its lowest in 14 years. We expanded GATE, stopped the property tax, and increased maternity leave.
We are the party that invested in you and your community by investing in schools, community centers, lighted parks, 24-hour health centers, and the most extensive road repair program in decades.
We believe that education is always a solution and that no one should have to pick between sending their child to school or buying food.
We are the party that works for you. We are the first responders in every situation, working to deliver a better standard of living for you and your family.
And most importantly, we have confidence in you, the people of Trinidad and Tobago. This is not a campaign, it's a movement based on building communities and strengthening families.
Come out and join us, and together we will get the nation working and moving again. Our children will once again have access to GATE and technology.
We will improve healthcare
By cutting the time it takes to see a doctor in an emergency. We will establish a senior citizen unit in every major hospital and staff the hospital with the doctors and nurses you need to create a first-class healthcare system. We will focus on creating high-paying jobs, fixing our laws to remove red tape, and ensuring that you and your family are safer. We will reduce corporate taxes to jumpstart the economy, create a special investment zone along the East-West corridor, and work with entrepreneurs to build a digital economy. This is an investment in your community to move the nation forward and get TNT working again.
Whether you are from 4th Street in Barataria to Railway Road in Dow Village, from Green Street in Tunapuna to Clark Road in Debe, from La Hoqueta to Moruga, from Miaro to Scarborough, we are one people with the same dreams of a better tomorrow. And when we stand together, we win together. We are UNC and proud.
The San Fernando Teaching Hospital, Chancery Lane. Construction of the Chancery Lane Administrative Complex began in July 2005 and was originally built to accommodate commercial office space, retail and parking. This building stands adjacent to the San Fernando General Hospital. The San Fernando General Hospital was built in 1954 and is one of this country's main healthcare institutions. This decades-old 650-bed facility currently serves the population of the entire South Trinidad, numbering approximately 600,000 citizens, and is charged with the responsibility of providing all levels of health care. On a site visit to the then Chancery Lane Administrative Complex on August 23, 2011, the Honorable Prime Minister, Mrs. Kamla Persad-Bissessar, mandated that UDICOT work in conjunction with the Ministry of Health and the Southwest Regional Health Authority, under whose purview the San Fernando General Hospital falls, to examine ways the adjacent Chancery Lane Administrative Complex could be repurposed as a hospital facility. The retrofit of the base building structure of the Chancery Lane Administrative Complex as an extension to the neighboring General Hospital will provide additional healthcare space with the latest modern equipment and will permit the SWRHA to better fulfill its mandate as a provider of healthcare services to the population of South Trinidad. Close and detailed collaboration between UDICOT, the Ministry of Health and the SWRHA has borne much fruit, which has ensured success in the transformation of the Chancery Lane Administrative Complex into the new San Fernando Teaching Hospital. Some of the services which will be offered at this new healthcare facility include X-rays, ECGs, echocardiography which provides sonograms of the heart, EEGs, electroencephalography for measuring brain activity, EMGs, electromyography for detecting neuromuscular disorders, urology testing, ultrasounds, pediatrics, gynecological care. Doctors will be on site 24/7 as dedicated accommodations for doctors have been built, what we refer to as doctors' on-call rooms. Some of the modern medical features at the new San Fernando Teaching Hospital include medical vinyl, which traps and kills bacteria, mold, etc., so these cannot multiply or grow. Ceiling tiles, which absorb dust particles. Fixtures will be supported off the wall rather than being mounted from the ground, which will facilitate easy cleaning and access beneath the fixtures. The San Fernando Teaching Hospital was built to various North American and internationally accepted codes: AIA FGI, ASHRAE, NFPA 99, NFPA 101, JCAHO, OSHA, TTS 171 Part 1 2002, TTS 171 Part 2 2002, NFPA 70 2011, IEEE Standard 142, IEEE Standard 602, IES, CP 326, ASHRAE 62, SMACNA, TT Plumbing Code, NFPA 13. These works are being performed in two main phases. A. The adaptive reuse of the Chancery Lane Administrative Complex as an extension of the existing hospital due to its proximity to the hospital site, providing an additional 216 beds, bringing the number of available beds to approximately 866. Phase B. The renovation and modernization of the San Fernando General Hospital. This will be part of the master plan. Following a competitive bid process, UDCOT engaged S&P Architects, a firm of expert healthcare architects from the United Kingdom. Their fourth quarter 2011 report stated that the adaptive reuse of the office building was in fact feasible. Subsequently, the Austrian government proposed to finance, construct and outfit the project via a government-to-government arrangement. One of Austria's major healthcare expert companies, Pavement, was selected by the government of Austria to lead the transformation from office space to this 216 inpatient bed facility. Some highlights of the arrangement include, but are not limited to, technology transfer with 99% of the labor force on this project being locals, at maximum 500 locals on site. Project management, construction supervision, turnkey delivery of hospitals and other buildings in the health sector. Maintenance of medical technical devices, training, institutional strengthening, long-term financing, opportunity for partnering with local firms in the construction industry. The facility has been designed, constructed and outfitted to North American standards. The San Fernando Teaching Hospital has a total usable space of 368,725 square feet. Lower sections of the building. Level 2, University of the West Indies, offices, library and public access. Level 3, Retail, Cafe, Discharge and Multi-Faith Room. Level 4 North, Children's Outpatient, Mother and Child, Porter Services. Level 5, Functional Diagnostics. Doctors' on-call rooms. Level 6, adult outpatients. Level 7, car parking, no clinical access. Level 8, administration. Levels 3 to 7 south, 167 parking spots in the main building. Levels 4 to 7, 400 parking spots in the car park expansion adjacent to the main building. The main tower section of the building. Levels 9 to 12, pediatric wards. Levels 13 to 17, adult wards. Level 18, administration. Phase 2, renovation and modernization of the San Fernando General Hospital. On completion of this project, works would commence on the existing San Fernando General Hospital in an effort to improve its standards of healthcare services that would be offered to the public. In conclusion, patients, doctors and nurses, as well as family and friends of those admitted to the new state-of-the-art hospital will benefit tremendously from this extension to the existing San Fernando General Hospital. The San Fernando Teaching Hospital will provide a modern and more conducive environment for the efficient and timely delivery of crucial medical and health care, and will ensure much needed support and ultimately fulfill its mandate as a healthcare provider for San Fernando and its environs.
They were never legitimate emails. So you could not have traced what was given to what was there in the account because it was never provided. It was never there. It was something that was typed out by someone.
The facts about Emailgate are clear. The then opposition leader Keith Rowley came to the Parliament in May 2013 and accused then Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar of conspiracy.
This email, also under the heading urgent, to Captain Gary Griffith at hotmail.com from whoever anan@gmail.com is. It says something is not right with that. She knows too much.
The opposition leader reading excerpts from an email he alleged was in reference to a Guardian newspaper reporter who broke the story on the early proclamation of Section 34. Dr. Rowley said this was one of 31 emails written over a 17-day period last September he received from a whistleblower.
Does she drive? Walk? Do you know her movements? And it says, we have a problem. Things are getting heated. We need access to taps in the DPP office.
The then opposition leader Keith Rowley came to the Parliament and accused Kamla Persad-Bissessar of conspiracy to commit murder, all under the guise of parliamentary privilege. What is parliamentary privilege, you might ask? Well, it's a license to say whatever you want and has no civil or criminal liability for the statements you make.
What I'm required to do is to use the protection of the privilege of Parliament, and who it offends too bad for them.
It's legal immunity from prosecution for slander. Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar sat and listened to the accuser and then sent all of the printed emails to the Commissioner of Police for investigation, took her computer and her mobile phone to the police for inspection, requested that Google make public if the emails were real, and opened herself to a second investigation by the Integrity Commission. Today, however, the police investigation, the Integrity Commission, and even Google have said that the emails produced by Dr. Rowley are fake. And according to Orville London, the then deputy leader of the PNM and THA chief secretary, he said that Dr. Rowley would pay the price if his information is wrong. London declared the emails are earth-shattering and must be resolved. This is the big one. This is a game decider. And at the end of the exercise, there would only be one man or one woman standing. Today, Kamla has been vindicated, and as such, the only one standing. Senior counsel Israel Khan is quoted as saying that Emailgate was a diabolical and sinister plot to assassinate the character of the former Prime Minister.
Now that the acting Commissioner of Police
yes,
has indicated that she has declared service. She has declared about 4 years ago. What has happened? They wanted her to go into an election with this thing hanging over her head. It affected her at the polls. So it was not only one of the greatest folks that ever perpetrated on the country. It was one of the worst injustices that ever been done to a person and a prime minister.
Well, again, the document, the correspondence that was given, they were never emails. You would have seen difference in the dates, the difference in the font, the difference in the there was an email account that was not legit. So it was the question in other words then could be answered that they were never legitimate emails.
They were very serious allegations. These allegations, I suspect, brought the government down. This is the first time in the history of the Commonwealth that such a political fraud was perpetrated upon the public. I am now calling upon the Director of Public Prosecution to request that the police set up a team of officers to investigate the now Prime Minister, then Leader of the Opposition, whether he conspired with person unknown or person known in order to pervert the course of public justice.
the man should do the honorable thing and resign now. You see, this issue, these lies that he told in the Parliament, didn't just impact here in Trinidad and Tobago. This made international news around the world. Around the world. It was the most corrupt act on his part. It was the most dishonest, but he didn't care as long as he making the grab for power. He didn't care. He didn't care that it was destroying the image of our country. He still doesn't care. He didn't care about that. And this has been really one of the biggest scandals in the Commonwealth, based on lies. Therefore, the gentleman should do the right thing and resign.
Rowley wanted to become a prime minister without being a leader. He never came up with a plan, so nothing is happening.
I don't feel the cry. It's so sad to see the destruction of my country. Hey.
At this time, remain standing as we invite Brandon Chun, who will offer a word of prayer.
All eyes closed, heads bowed. Heavenly Father, my God, Lord, we come before you, Lord. Lord, we give you praise, honor, and glory, Lord. Lord, we thank you for each and every individual here this evening, oh God. Lord, we pray that you bless this evening's proceedings and give us your guidance. In your name we pray. Amen.
Brothers and sisters, you can have your seats. Brothers and sisters of the UNC family, good evening. Let me hear your voices. And welcome to Oropouche West. My name is Dr. Carleen Baino Suku, and I am the research officer of the United National Congress. I'll be a chairperson for tonight's program. But before I introduce the battery of speakers, I want to ask you a question, a very important question. Are you satisfied with this Rowley-led PNM government? I'm not hearing you. Are you satisfied with this Rowley-led PNM government? Let me hear you. Keith Rowley has made it abundantly clear that he is unqualified and unfit to lead our country. Do you agree? From his disrespect towards women like myself, his lack of vision, his recycled policies, there is nothing he could do to shock us citizens anymore. Do you want to enjoy the days of good governance and people-centered leadership? Who do you think will take us there? Yes, brothers and sisters, the Honorable Kamala Prasad Bissessa and the next Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago will take us there with the United National Congress. Let me hear it for political leader. The PNM talks, but the UNC does the work. And I want to introduce you to a worker. The United National Congress has a plan going forward. We have struck a balance incorporating the experienced parliamentarians and the young, brilliant minds with fresh ideas. Our next speaker is one of the fresh, talented minds the leader of the opposition has picked to represent us and fight for us in the Senate. I would like to introduce to you the Attorney at Law, Senator Saddam Hussein, but I would like to tell you a little bit about him first. After he returned to Trinidad, Saddam attended the Hugh Wooden Law School, where he completed his legal education certificate program. And during his time at law school, he represented Trinidad and Tobago as a prosecutor at the International Criminal Court moot competition in New York. And he won the award for the best prosecution brief, defeating some of the top law schools in the US and Canada. Saddam has graduated from the Hewden Law School on the Principal's Roll of Honor and won the Justice Wendell Kangaloo Advocacy Award. Saddam also serves as a student ambassador to the Vice Chancellor promoting UE, and was part of a delegation that met with the UE Vice Chancellor. Currently, he is a student at UE St. Augustine campus reading for his master's in criminology and criminal justice. I want to present to you Senator Saddam Hussein. Come on, let's give it up for him.
Thank you very much, Carleen. And thank you very much to the warm people of Oropouche West for that welcome, and especially our beloved MP, Vidya Guiding Gopi Singh, for having us on the pavement this afternoon. I'd also like to acknowledge all my colleagues on the head table and all the councillors and hardworking aldermen of the United National Congress who are present here. But most importantly, you, the beautiful people of Oropouche West. But tonight is a night where we are going to talk serious issues, because Rowley told us to meet him on the pavement. So tonight we took up the challenge and we are on the pavement to deal with the Prime Minister. On Monday, you will know that Minister Imbert will read his final budget in the Parliament of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. This will be his last budget, because next year, under a UNC government, a budget of hope, prosperity and progress will be delivered for the people of Trinidad and Tobago. After 4 years, Minister Imbert and Rowley and the rest of the PNM would have spent over $200 billion in this country. But yet, people in this country are suffering from no water, from bad roads, high unemployment, unprecedented crime and a failing healthcare system. The incompetent Prime Minister and the incompetent PNM cabinet has failed the people of Trinidad and Tobago. Under UNC government, there was a sense of hope, delivery and prosperity in Trinidad and Tobago. We had a Prime Minister who cared for the people. Kamla Prasad Bisesa cared, while Keith Rowley scares the people. Our citizens felt proud to be a part of this great country under UNC government because opportunities were given to them. There's a sense of hope that it made sense to be a part of this country because you can contribute towards its development. Bottom line is that the PNM talks while the UNC works. The PNM talks while the UNC works. The PNM talks while the UNC works. But tonight, there's a very important issue, an issue that will rock the political landscape. For a decision made by this PNM government recently, you would have learnt about it, that a claim in the High Court for $35 million against Ken Julian was withdrawn by this PNM government. Let me give you some background to this matter. In 2005, there was a board in a state enterprise called ETEC. And this ETEC company would have invested $35 million for an investment into information technology with a company called Bamboo. Bamboo Networks Limited, not the Bamboo in Valsane. And the board of directors were chaired by Ken Julian and other directors. And they made an investment for $35 million to take $35 million from the treasury and give this company called Bamboo. Up till this day, we haven't gotten a piece of paper or a sweetie from Bamboo. So under a Kamla Prasad Bisesa government and Anand Ramlogan as the Attorney General, a claim was filed against Ken Julian and the other directors of that company for negligence that they entered into a bad deal so that we could recover this $35 million that was lost. And as soon as this matter was filed, Ken Julian, he went to the High Court together with the other directors and said, 4 years passed, this matter not good. You can't bring nothing against me again. I have no case to answer. Well, you know what the High Court tell him? Go up the road. So he go on by the Court of Appeal. You know what the Court of Appeal tell him? Go up the road. You know what the Privy Council tell him? Why go back to Trinidad and face the court. So when we think that Ken Julian and the rest of the directors of that board was in Trinidad facing the court, we learned that the $35 million lawsuit was withdrawn. Discontinued. Case done, case closed, no case to answer. But what is interesting is that this happened at a time when the matter came up for trial. This is the end of the matter. This is for the evidence to be led, for the court to determine whether or not he should pay, together with the board, they were negligent for the $35 million. But you hear they rely on some advice from some Queen's Counsel in England that they should withdraw the matter. Now that in itself shows that that was not one of the most prudent decisions to make. Because they should have allowed the court to determine what the matter was. Because if you win in the High Court, if you win in the Court of Appeal and you win in the Privy Council, why you come to withdraw the case at the last stage? It makes no sense. But this reminds you of Malcolm Jones, where the Attorney General discontinued a claim against Malcolm Jones for $1.2 billion. This is Malcolm Jones 2.0. This case shows that the PNM is ready to pack up from Trinidad and Tobago and go, and time to usher in a new government, a United National Congress government. Because under UNC government, we were following the money. We were trying to find out where the $35 million went, but the PNM stopped it. But I want to make some points. While Ken Julian was before the court, alleged to have conducted himself negligently with respect to this deal, Keith Rowley appointed him to a cabinet subcommittee on energy. They appointed him as the chairman of UTT and as the chairman of Alutech. So how could you have a man who is facing the courts on allegations of negligence where $35 million was gone, being appointed to these very major big state enterprises? You are talking about the man advising the Prime Minister on energy issues. The man who's responsible for the education of your children in UTT. But what even gets more curious is that the news they reported that the Prime Minister's wife buffed him up for taking advantage of the generosity of Ken Julian. Because the Prime Minister asked Ken Julian to accompany him to Africa, all the time case going on. And Ken Julian flying with the Prime Minister. Then you hear that when you look at the court files and the matters that would have taken place already in the High Court in Trinidad and the Court of Appeal, do you know who was representing Ken Julian and the directors at that time? A fellow called Stuart Young. Stuart Young was a lawyer for Ken Julian at the time that the previous government brought a claim against them for the $35 million. That is the reality and the facts of the situation. But tonight I want to ask, where or how much money does it cost the taxpayers to withdraw this claim against Ken Julian? Because if you bring them all the way at the stage of trial, we have to pay their legal fees. How much money does the people have to pay for withdrawing this matter? These are questions that we need to get answers on. We cannot allow another Malcolm Jones case to happen again in this country. The PNM is withdrawing matters. They are taking the law into their own hands. They have no respect for the court and the decisions of the judiciary. It shows that this is the signs of dictatorship and autocratic leadership. We have seen it with Keith Rowley attacking every institution that is independent, attacking the media, the law association, the government, the opposition. He's attacking everybody, even attacked the BBC. This shows signs of a dictatorship. We must say that we, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, we lost our opportunity for our day in court to find out where the $35 million went, because we were denied that opportunity when that case was pulled. The 1.3 million people of this country. Had we had that $35 million, we could have used it to build roads, to build schools, to buy medication, to increase the wages of the teachers and other public servants. Had we had the $1.2 billion from Malcolm Jones, we would have had the money to hire doctors for the Cooper Children's Hospital, to finish the highway, to give proper pensions and build houses, and for people to have leases for their lands. But this is the recklessness of this PNM government. Faris Al-Rawi talks about following the money. Well, tonight I want to tell Faris Al-Rawi, dog, eat your shame. Because the Malcolm Jones $1.2 billion was not followed. The Ken Julian $35 million bamboo deal was not followed. The UNC, we worked while the PNM talked. Let us follow the money in E-Tech. Let us follow the money in Petrotrim. But tonight I want to say that good governance will return into this country. We are going into the parliament to listen to another budget, but we will not be satisfied with that budget because we are confident that they have suffered the people for 4 years and they will do no different in their last term of office. It is time that we take back our country. It is time that we retain good governance, transparency, and accountability to the people of Trinidad and Tobago. It is time that we re-elect a UNC government, and it is time for Kabla Prasad Bisesa to return as the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. And I thank you very much.
Let us give it up for MP. Come on. Come on, come on. Senator, sorry. Probably prophetic. One question I want to ask you again. We've approached the 4th anniversary of this Rowley regime. Ain't it so? I said, ain't it so? After 4 years of the PNM, I keep asking this question. Are you better off? September 7th marked the end of the 4th year and the start of the last year of the Keep Rowley regime. Do you feel safer? Do you have job opportunities? Do you have better health care? Rowley refused to open the Hoover Children's Hospital, and instead he turned a fully furnished hospital with over 200 beds into a drugstore. Do you and your family have better educational opportunities? Every time we hear the same problem, right? Schools can't open because of all these reasons. But let me tell you something. PNM like to talk, but UNC works. Could somebody give it up for that? I mean, at the same time, all of these negatives. But I would like to recognize in our midst our MP, Vidya Gopi Singh. Could we give it up for her? I want to also recognize the chairman of the Princestown Regional Corporation, members of Parliament, Senator Obika is here, and all these beautiful people from Oropouche West. Let Trinidad hear your voices. I'd like to introduce to you tonight another young man. His name is Mr. Sean Sobers. And Mr. Sobers entered Parliament as a temporary opposition senator, and he was appointed June 12, 2019. This young man holds a Bachelor of Law degree from the University of London and a legal practicing certificate from the University of Staffordshire, and was called to the bar of Trinidad and Tobago in April 2013. He has served as legal counsel for a number of companies in Trinidad and Tobago and New York. He is a member of the Legal Aid Authority of Trinidad and Tobago and the Trinidad and Tobago Duty Council panel. Senator Sobers has been active in the United National Congress and has provided legal advice and counsel at our many free legal clinics that you will hear about. The party held them in Siparia, Belmont, Sawa, Tunapuna. He is also from the alumni of Presentation College, San Fernando, and he continues to contribute as a member of the Presentation College, San Fernando Past Students Association Executive. Help me welcome this young man, Senator Sean Sobers.
Alright, good night, Oropouche West. How are you all going tonight? Well, I am very happy to be here along with all the other members of the head table. MP Padarat, MP Rodney Charles, the host for tonight, MP Vidya Gayadeen Gopi Singh, Senator Hussain, who was excellent just now, and all other members who are in the crowd. Dr. Sugui, thank you very much for hosting tonight's session. And we are here because we understand what the public wants from us. They constantly say that they want us to be more engaging, they want us to listen. And in true UNC fashion, we will listen and then we will lead. Because that is what the UNC is about. The PNM is about talking, but the UNC is about working. And that is what we are here doing tonight. That is why we are out having pre-budget consultations. We are out having these pavement reports. We are out having the Monday night forums. Because we want to listen to you and then take your suggestions and lead. Lead from in front. Lead by example. By the only person who could bring this country out of the dark ages that it is in. And that is the Honorable Kamla Prasad Bisesa. So anytime the PNM tell you about old talk, you have to tell them you reject that absolutely, because you know they does talk and the UNC works. So we thought it extremely important to come here because, as Saddam mentioned, we know that the budget is coming on October the 7th. That is a very important time. It is the last time that we'll be seeing Colum Imber read the budget presentation to this country. And that is a very exciting time, because it is a good thing to see him go back to whatever hole he crawled out of. You know, the fella's so short already, right? And he's only rear his head when it's time to talk a set of nonsense in the parliament and scoff at you and watch you all how. So it'll be the last time that any of you will have to endure that. It's the last time that, well, it's the first and last time for me, because I really don't want to see that fella again, right? But in terms of my presentation this afternoon, I really want to focus a little bit on housing, because I think one of the key selling points for any administration would be to indicate to the population in their time in governance some of the things that they would have done, construction and whatnot, and in particular housing. So I want to talk a little bit about housing and a little bit about contracts. But when you're talking about indications of good governance and building, I think this will be the first time in our country's history that you will have a government that will be approaching the people of Trinidad and Tobago, and they cannot tell you, normally a selling point for any government, they will want to tell you on the platform, well, we build X, Y, and Z amount of house here, there, and the other place. And we went oh-ho, and we construct hospital, and we build road, and we do school and police station. They can't tell you that. How much school they can tell you they build? They can't even hardly tell you about the schools that they finished that we start. How many hospitals they can tell you they build? Normal selling points for any administration, they cannot commit to, they cannot sell to you, because they did nothing. Nothing in 4 years except blame Kamla. And I'm sure they do that too. But don't worry, get us back into governance, and as we were talking earlier, we will bring them to justice. Right? So this will be the first time that you'll have a government that is unable to tell the population about things that they would have constructed. And when it comes to housing especially, we have to listen to the track record of these people, because Imbert may come, as we have been predicting, that it will be a little condensed milk budget, right? We have to stay away from sweet things. Sometimes sweet things can get diabetes, So you have to be very careful to hear what this man coming to sell you on Monday. But when it comes to housing in particular, this man literally speaks from the two sides of his mouth. Because in 2017, at the budget presentation then, he indicated, and I quote, an encouragement to persons to save, and this is specific with respect to the government savings bond, because we dealt with that in the parliament recently. So in 2017, he spoke about this government savings bond, and he said it would be an encouragement to persons to save for specific purposes, and that they also intend to introduce in 2017 these attractive housing bonds, specifically linked to the purchase of housing accommodation and education bonds linked to education expenses. That is in 2017. I could tell you, no bonds came about in 2017. People were still catching the tail to get house in 2017, just like they're catching the tail in 2019 to get house. People still catching the tail with respect to education. There were a lot of fundraisers that we in the UNC had to do to provide books, clothing for children to go to school. And they're talking about education bond in 2017. Yes, he did his lie. In 2018, he come again. A direct quote from him. He said, however, with the best will in the world and all available financial and human resources, you know you have a little twang, right? The HEC can construct at most 2,000 houses per year, which means that with current arrangements, the waiting list will never be fully satisfied. That's what he told you in 2018. And then fast forward now to 2019, the same Minister Imbert is promising to deliver 6,000 housing units, 68 by the year 2020, and to deliver 3,000 units annually. How are we doing that? If it would be constrained on the government in 2018 to deliver, how now you could fast forward and change it up that you could deliver this big promise? So they start with the lies. They start with the sweetness. But you must not be fooled, because that is what you have been hearing for the past couple years from them. Only doom and gloom, tighten your belt while they live good. That could never be good governance. And these are the things that we are telling you that you must reject outright. You cannot subscribe to that type of behavior. So that you must remember, when they speak about housing, they're not only talking about houses to be delivered, but they're also talking about big buildings. And the last pavement report we had in Moruga, we dealt with some of that. We dealt with this big pie in the sky situation with this China contract and whatnot that fell flat on its face. But what I want to mention to you tonight is the level of promises that they were giving to these people. The sweetheart deal that it had for these concessions that they wanted to give to this Chinese company, while everyone else is catching the tail. So they wanted to give these people VAT off. They didn't want to allow them to pay any taxes on any imports. They wanted to exempt them from a set of different taxes as well. They wanted to give them permits that normal business people take years sometimes to acquire to do construction. They wanted to give them these permits free. They wanted to give visas and work permits to over 400 Chinese nationals. How many of you have relatives that are unemployed? How many of you here tonight listening or watching us live are unemployed? But they were going to give away 400 construction jobs to foreigners. That's what was part of this deal. That is this housing promise that the government is giving away. Not for you, the members of this audience or the listening and viewing public, but for foreigners. They wanted to provide them with security. Within each side, the employer at his own cost, the government, shall provide sufficient security for the contractor's personnel and property. During the execution of the project, at least one patrol car with 2 officers shall be made available 24 hours a day. How many of you, when you call the police station, they tell you they don't have no car? Well, it would have been even worse now, because the car patrolling these people and them. That is the level of security that they were going to provide them. They were going to give them VAT off on this, no corporate taxes here, all sorts of nice goodies they were going to provide to them. But to you, the ordinary citizen of this country, Nothing for you. Ride your back. That's what they want to do. And you have to take that. Your time is coming, you know, when you need to indicate to them correctly. Not when the NASDAQ bill is wrong, but when the election bill is wrong. Indicate to them that you're not taking part in that foolishness anymore. And you're rejecting them by voting the United National Congress back in. And we as a responsible opposition, we didn't leave this HDC situation there, you know. Because we know that there would be a knock-on effect. That it wouldn't stop with this Chinese situation alone. So we started to ask questions in the media, in the parliament. We asking them, who responsible for selling out the country like that? And I'm a man, I'm not really too big in the reggae. But I know one or two reggae jams. And the one that came to mind when I started to hear them responses was this Shaggy song. It wasn't me. You ask him, but it wasn't me. Oh, they must know that song. You ask Rowley, it wasn't me. You ask Faris, who always in everything, whether you want him there or not, it wasn't me. That one shocked me, I wouldn't lie. Yes, Adam? That shocked me. Okay, you always in everything. You ask Short Young, the minister of everything, the youngest man, Sober's number 2. It wasn't me. So who was it? Who was it? And we did not stop there. We have gotten together, the lawyers in this party, and we've sent FOIAs to find out who it was. But we want to know. If we want to hear Shaggy, we go bring him down and we go listen to his music. We want to hear all this sing that to we. We want to know who it was. You cannot sidestep an issue just like that. This is serious business. Over $500 million of the country's purse you were looking to take and to give these people with all sorts of overtures. That has to be prosecuted at some level. And we in the UNC, we stand for justice. And we will get those answers for you. We will get those answers for you. We said FOI, we are also working on issues with respect to Moruga. People of Moruga, we were there last time for the pavement report. We haven't forgotten you. 29 of you initially started up with us and the numbers keep growing. We go on down there, we do a pavement report. What happened? All the time they can't see Lovell Francis. He run down there last week though and giving them again condensed milk talk. But the people in Moruga have started to reject them. They've rejected Lovell Francis and the rest of the country will unite and reject them again. So we haven't forgotten you people in Moruga. But all of these issues you must remember. Anytime they come with nice talk, remember the wrong that they have done to you. Their inefficiencies, their inability to provide. Because the PNM talks and the UNC, that is what we're about. Delivery, listening and leading. You cannot get it better here. All of these things demonstrate, as I told you before, I wanted to touch on contract, but all of these things demonstrate a breach of the most important contract that the government has signed with the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. You know what that contract is called? We call that contract the social contract. When a government is coming to the public to try to get your vote, they encourage you to engage in this social contract. And when they do in fact win the election, the social contract is signed. For your vote, to put them in power, to put them in office, they are supposed to provide certain things to you. But the key most important things is security and financial stability. You must agree with me that they have breached those 2 tenets of that contract. And based upon that, we will pick up your fight and we will prosecute them for that. But we need your help. We cannot do it alone. You have to assist us to bring that matter up into the proper court. The real court that matters, which is the court of public opinion. And that is the court that they have failed in everything that they have been doing. And we will constantly keep on listening to you, leading by example and through example from the honorable political leader, and continue to work with you. Because we here in the UNC, we don't talk, we work. Thank you.
Let me hear you say the PNM talks and UNC? The Rowley government has tried to pass laws that would allow them to seize your property if they accuse you of a crime, even though they have no evidence. But the UNC stopped them in Parliament. They want to pass a so-called cybercrime bill that the media has warned is really about criminalizing journalism. But we stopped them again. Now they are misusing the Sedition Act to target all those who speak out against them. Our next speaker today is no stranger to Oropouche West, and I am referring to the Honorable Barry Shiva Padarat, the Member of Parliament for Princestown. He is the youngest member in the 11th Parliament and has taken a vibrant, dynamic approach in serving the constituents of Princestown. Mr. Padarat held many portfolios in his career, such as chairman of the UE Guild on the international relations. He was also part of the office of the leader of the opposition. He worked at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. He was the advisor to Prime Minister Kamla Prasad Bisesa, and now he's a member of Parliament for Princestown. Mr. Padarat is known for being very vocal, both inside and outside of Parliament, raising concerns and issues affecting the constituents of Princestown, as well as those of the national community. He holds a bachelor degree in government and international relations, a postgrad in communications and global study, pursuing a law degree as well. He has taken an oath, and I feel very proud of him as a young person myself, that he continues to serve his constituents and by extension the people of Trinidad and Tobago. He is leading by example. I would like us, ladies and gentlemen, people of Oropouche West, please help me and join me in welcoming MP Padarat. Somebody give it up for him.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. The MP for Oropouche West, the Honorable Vidya Gaideen Gopi Singh. Joining her on the platform this evening, another distinguished Member of Parliament, the MP for Naparima, the indomitable Rodney Charles, the young, the vibrant, evergreen Senator Saddam Hussein, who makes the PNM shake in their boots every time they hear the mention of his name, Senator Sean Sobers, Dr. Carleen Suk, who is our research officer on the National Executive. Joining us this evening in the audience is Senator Tahaka Obika, another young, vibrant soul who stands up to the People's National Movement. The chairman of the Princestown Regional Corporation, my own councillor and chairman of the Princestown constituency, Mr. Gauri Rupnarayan. I see joining us this evening is the chairman of the PDRC, Mr. Alan Sami. Also councillor, well known in these parts and throughout Trinidad and Tobago, the ever vocal Mr. Meru. Brothers and sisters all, I have paid close attention to a statement that has been made by the Minister of National Security. Minister Stuart Young had the audacity to tell a conference just a few days ago that social media is the biggest threat to democracy in Trinidad and Tobago. No, 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 Stuart Little. No way. You see, the biggest threat to democracy in Trinidad and Tobago is Keith Rowley and the People's National Movement. Carleen Suku told you there's a bill before the Parliament right now called the Cybercrime Bill. I'm a member of that committee, so I cannot go into the details of that bill. But Carleen, I can tell you, one of the fundamental challenges of that bill that your UNC members will not support is the stifling of the voices of social media posters and those who belong to traditional elements of the media. They are parts of that bill that is proposed by the government that they want to get into your business so that they can lock you up under the Sedition Act, like what we have seen with Watson Yukon Satmaraj, to ordinary citizens of this country who are against the government and who will stand up and speak out against them. Well, you know our political leader has always said, we on this side, we have court closed. So lock up or no lock up, Keith Rowley and the PNM, we will continue to expose you and your lies. You have heard from this platform tonight that the UNC works while the PNM talks. And we will get into some of that this evening as we share with you. There are some of you who will remember that our slogan used to be, performance beats all talk, every time and any time. And that is why we must get back to basics. Get back to basics because we have a political leader and a party that has policies that we can be proud of. That you can touch, you can see, you can smell. You drive from Port of Spain to San Fernando. And you see, you smell, you touch the tangible efforts of your People's Partnership Government under Kamla Persad-Bissessar. Today they have spent more money than we would have at this exact time in our tenure. But ask yourselves and ask the members of the PNM, what do they have to show for it? Brothers and sisters, I want to share with you a very troubling issue here this evening. You see, I want to congratulate the Trinidad Express because it appears as though finally some of the elements in the media are starting to wake up. I refer to the Trinidad Express editorial of today's date. I want to read for you what the editorial, this is not Barry Padarat or Kamla Persad-Bissessar or the UNC saying this, you know. This is the editorial of a national newspaper of Trinidad and Tobago. It says, if Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley is as concerned as he claims about taxpayers having to foot the bill for his legal defense against the Law Association's planned judicial review, then he should simply trigger Section 137, allowing the Constitution to do its job, which it was designed to. If, as he believes, the allegations against the Chief Justice are groundless, then it would be far better than such a conclusion be determined by an independent tribunal rather than under the cloak of prime ministerial protection. The Express goes on to say, Dr. Rowley's insistence on relying on a single legal opinion, which had neither investigative authority nor opportunity to be challenged, is what has led to the Law Association's majority decision to seek judicial review. Not for the first time, Dr. Rowley is trying to whip up public sentiment against a valid legal challenge by citing the high legal cost of challenging the state. We saw this with the government's failed attempt to amend the Freedom of Information Act, when the Attorney General brazenly argued that its intent in curbing access to the FOIA was to reduce the high fees incurred by the state. The article goes on to say, the government's repeated attempt to manipulate public opinion against legal challenges on the basis of money is not only crass, but dangerous, suggesting as it does that members of the public should not exercise their constitutional right because it costs the government money. By framing its arguments in financial rather than constitutional terms, the government may be playing to public anxiety about the state of the economy. But this would be rather disingenuous for an administration which is yet to account for its own role in the signing of the scandalous and now cancelled $500 million contract between the Housing Development Company and this Chinese company. Brothers and sisters, what you are seeing is an awakening. Because I've told you this is not the voice of the UNC. This is the voice of the Express editorial of today's date. They tell you that the utterances of the Prime Minister is dangerous. They tell you the utterances of the Prime Minister is crass. This is the same Prime Minister who tells you about dog and cat, who tells you about geometry. And I want to ask the Express tonight, when Keith Rowley was speaking about the Prime Minister, Kamla Persad-Bissessar, having an Attorney General sucking at the nipples of a Prime Minister, where was the Trinidad Express voice during that time? When Keith Rowley was speaking about geometry, about Kamla Persad-Bissessar, where was the voice of the Trinidad Express at this time? Today, the Trinidad Express has found its voice. And I must say, congratulations, Trinidad Express. But you have awakened from your slumber, and you are saying things to the population today that we have known for over 10 years. For 10 years, we have known that this is the kind of Prime Minister that Keith Rowley would have been. But it is those same elements in the media who propped up Keith Rowley and foisted him on the population. Brothers and sisters, today, the Express editorial tells you that while Rowley complains about ventilating this situation, we are not saying that the Chief Justice is guilty. What the political leader, Mrs. Kamla Persad-Bissessar, has said to the media, she says that this is an ambit in our Constitution and in our law that allows freedom to challenge any allegations through an investigative power granted under Section 137 of the Constitution to the Prime Minister to ventilate these matters in the public domain, in the public interest. That is what we are saying. But today, the Trinidad Express tells us that the Prime Minister's excuse is that it will cost too much money, that it will cost the taxpayers. When did Keith Rowley suddenly awaken from his slumber and determine that taxpayers' money would have to be used for this setting up of the tribunal? You know, brothers and sisters, I want to remind you, because we must remind ourselves, when Keith Rowley spent $5 million on a loan for toilet paper factory in St. Lucia, he wasn't concerned about the money then, and that it was taxpayers' money that will have to pay. But today, when we are using taxpayers' money to ensure that you, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, the Law Association of Trinidad and Tobago, gets answers to their questions, he says, we cannot spend taxpayers' money that way. But suddenly, he's an awakened man. Tonight, I want to ask him, Keith Rowley, where was your concern for taxpayers' money when you gave $15 million to Ansel Roger and the trade unions? Are we seeing today the benefits of that $15 million to the trade unions? Keith Rowley must answer, where was your voice when you paid $225 million to massive communication? Where was your voice for taxpayers' money when you paid $20 million to Ernst & Young for audits? Where was your voice for taxpayers' money when you spent $20 million for Jazz Festival? Where was your voice when today you're building a house while people cannot get homes here in Trinidad and Tobago? You are building a Prime Minister's mansion for $15 million in Tobago. Where was your voice for taxpayers' money then? Tonight I ask the Prime Minister, where was your voice for taxpayers' money when you spent $200 million in Diego Martin Stadium, shrouded in corruption and controversy? Where was your voice, Keith Rowley, when you spent $7 million for the Hilton upgrade of that swimming pool? Where was your voice, Keith Rowley, when you spent over $7 million to open the Brian Lara Stadium for a FET match? Where was your voice, Keith Rowley, when Shamfa Kojo was running a phone bill for $59,000? Where was your voice, Keith Rowley, when Darrell Smith rumped with $95,000 of taxpayers' money in Tobago? And I'm almost certain that Darrell Smith regretted ever meeting the member for Princestown, because it was through us, the UNC and the Parliament, that exposed the corruption and the nepotism, the rumping and the roaming of these government ministers. I ask Keith Rowley tonight, where was your concern for taxpayers' money when Darrell Smith paid $150,000 in an alleged sexual harassment case? Where was your concern for taxpayers' money then? Where was your concern when people can't get homes and food in this country, but you spent $3 million on a dog pound in San Fernando? You know, we have a saying in Trinidad, they say, even when dog better than you. And that is the situation in this country where we have found ourselves under Prime Minister Keith Rowley. But where was your voice then for taxpayers' money? Brothers and sisters, the latest scandal, $4,000 for cake. Where was your voice, Keith Rowley, for taxpayers' money where Madam Betty Crocker was dishing out cake in the Ministry of Community Development, Culture and Arts? You see, that ministry is no longer the Ministry of Community Development, Culture and Arts. That is now the Betty Crocker Ministry. That is what they will be remembered for. So when you have a man rumping, that every time he go in a room, the first song that is come on is Tempted to Touch, Tempted to Touch. Then you have an ex-minister, Shamfa Kojo, when she bunks in the room, you say, hello, hello, hello. Now this one, when she bunks in the place, the first thing everybody asks it is, Madam, you have any box cake? We're looking for Betty Crocker. That is Madam Betty Crocker. And that is what they will be remembered for, brothers and sisters. They will not be remembered for hospitals and police stations and schools. And that is why on this platform you will hear that the UNC works and the PNM talks. They have spent over $250 billion on frivolity instead of delivering to the people of Trinidad and Tobago. Brothers and sisters, I want to send a message to Prime Minister Keith Rowley here tonight. You see, I've told you we have court closed. You remember just a few months ago when your MPs went into the Parliament and we fought them, headed by the political leader, Mrs. Kamala Persad-Bissessar, on the issue of the FOIA, when they wanted to change the terms and conditions in the FOIA so that they will not have to answer to you, the people. I want to share with you this evening, and we are putting Prime Minister Keith Rowley on notice. You remember when Prime Minister Kamala Persad-Bissessar traveled, they want to know who going, how much it costs, where she going, who she meeting with. For the past 2 years, we have filed a Freedom of Information in the Office of the Prime Minister. The law as it currently stands allows only 30 days for which they must provide an answer. If they want additional time, they must then indicate in writing that they want additional time. One of my constituents have advised me that for the past 2 years, they keep making an application to find out how much the cost of travel to the Prime Minister has been for this 4-year period. The Prime Minister's office is allegedly in breach of the law under the Freedom of Information Act. And I tell the Prime Minister tonight, you can run, but you cannot hide. The day will come, sooner or later, where you will have to stand up and face the music. When we go into that parliament on Monday, when we go into that parliament, your MPs will be like soldiers, because we will be on the battlefield. And I sound warning to them tonight. If you think Pararat, Munilal and Kamla Prasad Bisesa, together with Rodney Charles and others, were bad to deal with from 2015 to 2019, it will be a horse of a different color come 2019 into 2020. Brothers and sisters, but we cannot do it alone. You must stand with us. You know, I want you to look at something. Keith Rowley, Marlene MacDonald was a crook in 2007. He reappointed that crook back in 2015. You know, in local parlance, Mr. Meru, you will know it good in these parts. In local parlance, we often say, you can't put cat to watch butter. But Keith Rowley, knowing Marlene MacDonald was a crook, in 2007, reappointed Marlene to the Ministry of Housing, the biggest ministry outside of national security. Well, he knew he couldn't put a crook in national security, because the crooks would have been roaming free. So instead he put her into Ministry of Housing. He kept Marlene there, hired her, fired her, hired her, fired her, hired her, fired her. But when they went to interrogate Marlene MacDonald in the police station, I saw bags started arriving. 1 bag of macaroni pie, 1 bag of fried chicken, 1 big box cake. I don't know if Madam Betty Crocker was the one who carried it. But they stood on the side of Marlene MacDonald. And that is how the PNM is. They are clandestine, that through thick and thin, they will stand up with their own. And they demonstrated that to the entire country. Sometimes we as UNC supporters, we get weak. I want you to ask yourselves, the 2 biggest scandals that has rocked the administration of Keith Rowley, over $150 million in fake oil, $123 million to Faris and his family. Ask yourselves, would this country have ever known that they're paying and enriching friends, family, and Faris, had it not been for Kamla Prasad Bisesa exposing that on a political platform, holding up documents in her hand? The country would have never known that. But sometimes we as UNC supporter, we might be yellow, but we are also yellow belly. We do not have the strength to stand up to the PNM. Dr. Munilal always tells us as MPs, he said we know as UNC supporters everything that the PNM has to say about the UNC. But ask some of our supporters what we have to say about the PNM, and not one damn thing. And we must change that. You know, when Jerlene John became deputy political leader of the UNC, she said to me, she said, "MP Parat, I really like you, know." I said, "Miss John, why?" She said, "Because when they stand up and they jump up in the parliament, you jump up too." She said, "When they shout at you, you shout back at them. And when they go low, you go below." Brothers and sisters, as we go towards the general election, which will come sooner rather than later, I implore you to find your voices like Meru and others who stand in the front lines of the battlefield. It will not be easy. They have not performed. They have not delivered. The PNM does not work. They only talk. But you must be prepared, ready, stand up and willing to fight them, but you must be prepared in that you know what they are coming with. You see, in the absence of performance and delivery, they know everybody who drunk, but they didn't know they had two drunken senators sitting and they had to remove them when they went to swear them in as the Minister of Public Administration. They know everybody who's sleeping with who. But Saddam and I discovered there's a video tonight we have to send to one of their high public officials, reminding them about morality in public office. You see, brothers and sisters, you see, there's more fire to come. I have always told you, what they didn't say about Kamala Persad-Bissessar is what they forget to say. And I often ask myself, who the hell am I? And I want to tell the P&M, we could deal with any one of them. Anytime, any place, anywhere, and on any topic. Tonight I congratulate the Law Association. I've seen that they too have found their voice because they have filed in the High Court of Trinidad and Tobago notice to file judicial review against the decision of the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. Brothers and sisters, the Prime Minister's excuse is that the Law Association is what? Political. You hear lie? Brothers and sisters, you all will remember something called the election petition. You remember that? Do you know who was the lawyer who went and fight for the P&M against us in the election petition? The president of the Law Association of Trinidad and Tobago, Mr. Mendez. Today, Keith Rowley says the Law Association is political. You hear how they want to play smart with foolishness. Brothers and sisters, the last issue I want to discuss with you is the issue of the fuel subsidy and what you can expect on Monday. Colin Mimbert will come with the same old, same old, same old. He will tell you all the things that you want to hear. But you know what they want you to forget? A tax you once, a year riot. They tax you twice, year riot. A taxi a third time, only like that, only a riot. But brothers and sisters, you see, come Monday, and this is how they play smart with foolishness. They have spoken to you since 2015 about removing the fuel subsidy. For those of you who do not understand, because we break it down in layman's terms, the price that you pay at the pump to fill up your tank, whether it's super, diesel, or premium gasoline, the state pays a percentage of the price. So by the time you go to fill up at the pump, it is already reduced. So over the period of time, the state has been reducing the amount of money they contribute to how much you pay at the pump. They have said to us that they will phase out the whole thing, they remove the whole fuel subsidy. They have one part of the fuel subsidy to go. But here's how they will play smart with foolishness come Monday. This is my prediction. They know we are in an election year. So they'll say, well, we know things hard, we give you a blind, we ease you up. And therefore, there will be no increase in fuel on Monday. That's my prediction. Because should you take God out of your thoughts, and a P&M government is elected in 2020, you know what they will do in the first budget? According to Miro, they would you left, right, and center. They will remove the fuel subsidy entirely should they form the government in 2020. And you know what that means? Everything skyrockets from day one. A new P&M administration comes into place post the general election, should you take God out of your thoughts. Brothers and sisters, this Pavement report is one of the ambits that we are using so that you go out there, you are our message carriers. I hear Mr. Meru calls into the radio program every single day. You hear him. I hear our political leader outside here batting. You know, I hear some people, they tend to say, I'm not hearing Kamala enough. I'm not hearing the opposition. What are they doing? Tonight I ask you, what are you doing to get your party back into government? I can assure you, our political leader is listening. You have asked for new faces. You've asked for fresh ideas. She's told you she will marry the experience with the young ones. You will have the opportunity to say who you want and who you do not want come election time. And none of us, whether we are sitting MP or senator or whatever position we hold, must hold back the party from going forward. If it means that the political leader, we have to give her the space and the room to make the decisions in order for the party to go forward, we must do so, and we must give her the support to do so, because at the end of the day, it is the bigger picture. When Kamala Pasabi says that the UNC takes government, they work for all the people of Trinidad and Tobago. They do not just sit down and talk, they deliver to you. And that is why we must get on board. It cannot be that we continue to fight down personalities, that we continue, that we are upset that we didn't get the box straight in front of our homes. We can continue to fight each other, or we can come together like one united force, going into the general election with different strategies, different faces, different policies, and ensure that we bring home the victory so that your children and your grandchildren are guaranteed a better future. It is either you take that, or you take back the crook Marlene MacDonald, you take back Madam Betty Crocker, the Minister of Community Development, you take back the dog and cat Prime Minister, you take back Stuart Little, you take back Faris Al-Rawi, and you have to ask yourselves, is this what you want for the people of Trinidad and Tobago as you go forward? Brothers and sisters, while we put our house in order, we also understand that the greatest challenge is the marginal seats, and therefore we must take you, our strongest activists, those who have fought elections for us in the past. Who knows, when you go, Mr. Meru and others who I see in the audience, Gori, Tahaka, those who are on the platform, Rodney, myself, we went when they were doing the election petition. And you hear what happened in the 2015 general election. When you hear about cases of persons who are allowed to vote, whose names was not on the electoral list. In Maruga Tableland, when 1 hour electricity went and ballot boxes remained unmanned. Can you imagine what occurred in those circumstances in the battleground constituencies that we needed in order to form the government? We must not allow history to repeat itself. We must learn from the mistakes of the past. And that is why we are putting our house in order by doing these pavement reports, by sensitizing you, by equipping you, but also by getting you trained to go into those marginal seats and stand up to the dictatorship of the PNM. And that is why this evening we raise the issue of the Law Association, and we raise the issue of invoking Section 137. Our political leader has said, let the chips fall where they may. We will protect no one. There is no sacred cow. And Rowley should do the same. But Rowley's track record has been, and Saddam told you, to protect Ken Julian. Their track record has been to protect Colin Imbert. Their track record has been to to support the man who told us all must go. That is their track record, brothers and sisters. What is our track record? Our track record is that UNC works and that performance beats old talk every time and any time. I thank you. May God continue to bless each and every one of you. I know our political leader is listening this evening. She's preparing for her budget presentation. But surely as night follows day, everywhere I go, especially in our own constituencies, Vidya and others, I always ask, now is a period of the Navratri where our Hindu brothers and sisters are observing. I ask you, I always say, I don't know where our political leader gets the strength, the fortitude, and the courage to do what she does. Sometimes I myself become a little discouraged, but when I look at her, and I often see the challenges that she has faced in her own life, and that she's still holding on, fighting for the people of Trinidad and Tobago, I ask you, especially during this occasion, to say a quiet prayer for her and to keep her in your thoughts, and God continues to give her the courage, the strength, and the fortitude to fight for the people of Trinidad and Tobago. I thank you, and may God continue to bless each and every one of you.
Yes, the UNC works and the PNM just talks. The thing about the UNC in 2010 to 2015, it has been known to be the job creator with 50,000 plus jobs within that time. And at present, on the eve of independence, almost 200 workers at UTT were sent home. Who talks and who works? The UNC. At this time, I want to bring on MP Rodney Charles. He first entered Parliament as a representative for Naparima following the general election in 2015. MP Rodney Charles has served as an ambassador of Trinidad and Tobago to the United Nations, and he was also the senior policy advisor to the president of COSTAT. From 1986 to 2000, he served in various fields at the National Petroleum Company, including head of public relations and advertising, head of property management, and the public relations officer. He started his public relations career at Trintoc from 1980 to 1986, where he served as a public relations assistant. He has also spent many years educating young minds as a teacher at COSTAT. But today, MP Charles works assiduously to represent the interests of the constituents of Naparima both in and out of Parliament. He is a vocal advocate of the need to uplift society through initiatives aimed at providing positive outlets for the youth of today. I am proud to welcome MP Rodney Charles. Could we give it up for him?
Thank you very much, Madam Chairman, for the kind words of introduction. I would like tonight to congratulate MP Vidya Gopi Singh for bringing the pavement to Oropouche West. Ladies and gentlemen, I like the pavement. It is not Parliament where they could stop you and say stand in order, whatever they make up in their heads, or they will tell you to take a walk. The pavement is where we battle man to man, discussing the issues of Trinidad and Tobago. And I could tell you tonight that Keith Rowley will not come in the pavement in Oropouche West because he's afraid to deal with the issues straight up with members of the United National Congress. Ladies and gentlemen, I felt like the father. We have young, bright UNC soldiers willing to take the battle and carry the battle for the next decade and ahead. Give them a round of applause for me. So tonight we have the theme. The PNM talks, but the UNC works. Somebody, I don't have courthouse closed. On the pavement. But on the pavement, and another reason why I like the pavement, because I'm a Baptist. And those of you who know the Baptist religion know that it survived years upon years on the pavements in the up and down the byways and highways of Trinidad and Tobago. So I start today with the book of Romans, the Bible. You're here for a lesson in spirituality and a lesson in politics. Oh yes, yes. In Romans 4 verse 21, it says, and I quote, and being fully assured that what God had promised, he was able to perform. Ladies and gentlemen, God performs. And as a Baptist, I will now get my bell. I will now get the bell, because as we start with the spiritual dimension of this pavement, ladies and gentlemen, we heard the Prime Minister went to the UN. The week before, he cussing everybody, left, right, and center. He cussed the BBC, he cussed everybody. And he went to the United Nations pretending to be a gentleman, a statesman, a diplomat. Trinidad's premier salesman. And I understood that he rang a bell at NASDAQ. You heard that? And they're playing it up to fool us in Trinidad and Tobago. A PR effort designed to sugarcoat the incompetence of the Keith Rowley administration in Trinidad. They tell us that it will bring businessmen. Businessmen will look and they will see the bell being rung and they will come to Trinidad and Tobago to spend their billions, and we will live happily ever after. They talk about Trinidad and Tobago being open for business. So Keith Rowley rang the bell, but he cannot with a straight face say that Trinidad is open for business, or how many jobs the ringing of the bell will bring to Trinidad and Tobago. I could tell you how many. It starts in my age group. We say Z. The younger, the senators, or what do they say? Z. I say Z, they say Z. I could tell you how many jobs Keith Rowley will bring to Trinidad and Tobago based on his visit to the United Nations and to the United States. It's a big, fat zero. And the reason is, when businessmen look at Trinidad and Tobago, what do they see? They see crime, lack of foreign exchange, and the ease of doing business. Our rating is 105 out of 190 countries. It is hard to do business in Keith Rowley's Trinidad and Tobago. So what benefit do we get from all the per diems and whatnot that they got on this recent trip? I don't like to use language and call them uneducated, unenlightened, they lack erudition. Trinidadians will say that the PNM is, we're governed by dunce head people. They do not understand that you need to address the base fundamental issues in Trinidad and Tobago before you begin to invite investors. You cannot ring bell and let people take note of Trinidad and Tobago. When they do their research, they see something that is completely different. But our motto today is PNM talks and the UNC works. We created 50,000 jobs. Bell or no bell, they have taken away 55,000 jobs for the economy. So I say, I repeat, we created 50,000 jobs. Give us a round of applause for that. And I ring the bell for that. 50,000 jobs. Not only that, we work. We built 105 schools. And remember, when we told them that, Tim Gopi Singh told them that in Parliament, they said, no way, we can't see it. Give us the name one by one. And he stood up in Parliament and he gave them the 105 schools in the Rutung Kotungkun. And they still can't believe that the UNC has performed at that level. Not only in schools. And we have to tell you this, because Trinidad and Tobago forgets. They forget. Remember, I told them in 2015, the PNM has no plan. And today, 4 years after, we are suffering because the PNM is operating by VAPs, they're operating by chinksing, they're operating by getting up a morning and decided closing down a refinery. We are not seeing a strategic vision that makes sense to all of us. The murder rate in 2011, we were in office, UNC. It was 354. This is 162 less than the 516 recorded last year. It was Kamla Prasad Bisesa who was Prime Minister when the murder rate was down to 354. Give her a round of applause, and I will ring the bell. I'll ring the bell. We equipped, you're talking about performance, we equipped the Trinidad and Tobago Coast Guard with 12 modern radar-equipped fast patrol vessels to lock down our borders. The PNM tied them up in Stobbles Bay for lack of fuel and lack of maintenance. But it gets worse, but you need to be reminded. The Coover Children's Hospital, we built that. State-of-the-art CT scans and MRI equipment left to rot while constituents in Naparima had to wait 6 months and a year for a CT scan. Isn't that immoral? And we have Terence Dial Singh. He has taken our state-of-the-art hospital, ultra-modern hospital, and turned it into a drugstore. And you know what people say? He should be Minister of Micro Enterprises and Small Businesses. He take a big hospital and make it a drugstore. That is the kind of leadership we have. We opened a teaching hospital in San Fernando. Any of you have been to San Fernando General Hospital in recent times? You can't get a bed. You cannot get medicine. You go there to die. It is a morgue. For heaven's sake, the PNM is going to kill you. And if you give them 5 more years, all are we dead. 5 more years of this PNM government, I think I'm making my peace with my maker, reading my Bible, because I know I can't take it. I can't take it. Ladies and gentlemen, they reminded me. I got to ring the bell. You see, you have to be told. You have to be sensitized, lest you make the mistake again and bring these wicked people into government. They went to the United States and talk about foreign direct investments. During our 4 years, we had $10.5 billion invested in Trinidad and Tobago. Today in Trinidad and Tobago, we have capital flight. We have more money going outside of Trinidad and Tobago, invested outside by Trinidadians, than money coming into our country. I want to get to our foreign policy under Keith Rowley and Dennis Moses. You know Dennis Moses? Well, when he talks, he takes a year to say things and you don't understand. So that is our foreign minister. A total disaster. And we ask the question, what is the status of the Dragon Field negotiations? You know something? I saw Penelope Beckles, Her Excellency, our ambassador in the United Nations. And I would like to suggest to Dr. Keith Rowley that he revokes the appointment of Mr. Dennis Moses and appoints Penelope Beckles as Minister of Foreign and CARICOM Affairs. We understand that Venezuela, who is Rowley's bestie, Maduro, good friend, Venezuela is looking, I'm using a little big word here, askance at Guyana and its territory as we speak. And I ask the question, what is Trinidad and Tobago's position on this? Will we support our fellow CARICOM state if it becomes an issue? Or will we support Keith Rowley's bestie, Maduro? Remember when they had the Congo line? And they're dancing up and down, he dancing with Maduro? So during the Prime Minister's visit to the United Nations last week, he spoke about taking an unbiased approach to Venezuela. But the week before, Minister Young held talks in Caracas on ties of cooperation, solidarity, and mutual respect between Trinidad and Venezuela. For heaven's sake, if you say you have a policy of non-interference, do not appear to be picking sides. That visit by Stuart Young came days after the Venezuela National Assembly indicated that Juan Guaido is the president of Venezuela. So we talk one thing, the Prime Minister says one thing, and the National Security Minister does another. They are confused. And we suffer for their cluelessness. We advise the Prime Minister Rowley to tread carefully. You cannot say one thing on an international platform and do another. His This pavement politics has no place in our diplomacy. For example, the Prime Minister cussed the BBC. Did you all hear it? He cussed the BBC for its coverage of the Venezuelan migrant crisis. He says their 40,000 figure was wrong. But Keith Rowley cannot with a straight face tell anybody how many Venezuelans are living in Trinidad and Tobago today. They cannot say what they, not only that, they cannot with a straight face tell us what will happen after the first year grace period. Anybody here knows? Some of them ain't even get the registration form yet. The year will finish in a couple of months, and we do not know, and they do not know what would be their position after a year. You do not treat people so. But the scripture says, if you have done it unto the least of these, my brethren, you have done it unto me. We cannot treat Venezuelans so. You know something? We had a registration period. If we were a smart country, we would have identified skills that the Venezuelans have that we need in Trinidad. I understand there are doctors, engineers, and nurses working in Trinidad in low-level jobs. Could we not have found pathologists to work in our forensic science center to relieve the pressure of the few pathologists we have? Venezuela has an oil company that is an international rank. It was called PDVSA. And when I was at NP, I visited in the United States. PDVSA had 6,000 convenience stores in the United States. Why can't NP not be challenged to open gas stations in Brooklyn and in Toronto and in London using the skills of these PDVSA executives, some of whom may be resident in the Trinidad and Tobago doing low-level jobs? But you see, this government is not bright. They are incapable intellectually of taking us to the next level. And if we do not take stock, if we fall for the condensed milk budget which they will present, we will have 5 more years of jeopardy, crisis, poverty, and crime. We in the UNC, as a responsible government, a government in waiting, under Kamala Persad-Bissessar, who I see as the most enlightened leader on the horizon in Trinidad and Tobago at this time, we have called for a refugee migrant policy that is humane, that recognizes the limits of our absorptive capacity. There's a big word to say, that must recognize how many we can take. We say that policy must be data-driven and it must be consistent with global best practices. And when the BBC came and they said we had no refugee policy, no migrant policy, Rowley get vexed. But see, you can't fool foreigners. You could fool the PNM sycophants, but you can't. You may even fool some of us in Trinidad and Tobago, but you cannot fool the global community. So while he ringing bell, Rome, Trinidad and Tobago, burning. It is embarrassing that we have been to be led by a prime minister who bit off more than he could chew. We have a minister of national security that is all talk. Oh Lord, he could talk. Short young. What has he done to reduce crime under his watch? He is an expert in old talk and not performance. And under his watch, crime continues unabated. And all of us, when we see strange people, we look behind our backs. All of us are locked up in our homes on burglar proof. All of us know someone who has been victim of crime in recent times. But we in the UNC platform, under People's Partnership Administration, under the last 5 years, there was a serious reduction in crimes with programs and initiatives that we implemented. We work, they talk. We maintained a zero tolerance approach to crime. Our approach was holistic. It consisted of legislative measures. It consisted of non-legislative approaches. It consisted of infrastructural works and social education and poverty reduction programs. You cannot lay off 5,000 workers in Petrotrin and expect crime to be reduced in the line and on Batu Avenue in Marabella. And you cannot you can't close down an oil company, perhaps recruit 1,000 of them and say that is salvation for the people of Trinidad and Tobago, and in particular, the people of South Trinidad. Ladies and gentlemen, it is hard to take this PNM if you went to school and if you read a book or two. It's hard. On the morning brew, on Tuesday, October the 1st, that's a few days ago, our great, learned Attorney General, referring to the arrest of 3 persons being charged as gang leaders under the anti-gang laws, stated that this was a historic moment. He said the legislation has worked. He boasts. What the AG does not understand, and I'm not a lawyer, I have my legal friends here who know more about law than me, but as a bush lawyer, I know that arrests do not mean conviction. You cannot boast that the law is working if you only make arrests. Because in Trinidad and Tobago, it is easy to arrest, but it is hard to get convictions. Right now, we have over 2,000 persons who are arrested in remand yard waiting for trial. Some for years, arrested, but no conviction. That 2,000 is 60% of the entire prison population. So we have people who are in our country innocent until proven guilty, in remand yard, waiting for trial, and we locking up people and making more and more arrests and calling that success. So you cannot say that the anti-gang law is performing until you can come up with a concrete figure of actual convictions to support your statement. So ladies and gentlemen, as the years have gone by, it is clear that the Rowley government cannot perform. They cannot perform in health, they cannot perform in education, they cannot perform with schools, they cannot perform with roads, they cannot perform with safety and security, they cannot perform. It is clear, I feel, that they have given up on Trinidad and Tobago. It is clear, I feel that they could hoodwink us with a condensed budget and fool you to vote for them to take 5 more years of suffering. It is clear that they do not possess plans, strategies, initiatives to get Trinidad and Tobago working again. It is time to restore good governance to the nation. So I say to you in closing, we must not be fooled. They have done nothing. We all live in fear of the criminals in our country. We have strangers in our midst, Venezuelans, good people, but we do not know how many. It is like having a house and you are the boss of your house, the master, and people living downstairs and you do not know how many. And these are the people that we have to run our business in Trinidad and Tobago. So they will come and pave roads. And I ask you, if you pave all the roads in Trinidad, what will that do for your quality of life? Nothing. They will give CPEP contracts and they will take it away if they win. They will give freebies and a condensed milk incentives. And I tell you, take it. Take everything you could get and vote them out. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't want to sound negative and I don't want to sound in a depressed mood, but the time is coming for deliverance. whenever they call the election, we know what we have to do. We know we will not be fooled once again. We know we have to take back Trinidad and Tobago. I think MP Barry Padarat indicated. Our UNC people get weak. The slightest PNM propaganda we believe. We do not really believe that we are in this Trinidad and Tobago. We are equal citizens, whether we live in Port of Spain, whether we live in Diego Martin, Scarborough, or in Oropouche West. We are as good as anybody. And the PNM party is the best party to take Trinidad and Tobago out of the morass and out of the nonsense and out of the stupidity that passes for governance in Trinidad and Tobago. Sorry, UNC. Now, if I say that, it's because something's happening. I say, I didn't ring the bell. Where the bell? I got the bell. The UNC is the salvation to our problems. And it is your job to help us, to talk to your relatives in the marginal constituencies, to ensure that we do what is necessary to take victory whenever the bell is rung. Ladies and gentlemen, with that I thank you, and I look forward after the next election for us to celebrate deliverance to Trinidad and Tobago. I thank you.
Our next speaker is an attorney at law by profession, and she is your elected representative for Oropouche West following the general election. Her name is Miss Vidya Gayadeen Gopise, and she was an attorney. She was a member of the legal panel of the attorneys for the National Petroleum Company Limited and the Palo Seco Agricultural Enterprises Limited. She was the assistant director at the Eastern Caribbean Institute of Agriculture and Forestry. She has conducted research into literacy rates in Trinidad and Tobago and the competitiveness of agro-processing in the Caribbean, and has also worked on the pension plan for Grenada Nutmeg Farmers Association. She has lectured on topics such as biology, zoology, economics, commodity crops, and computer literacy. She obtained a legal education certificate from the Hewarding Law School, Bachelor of Laws from the University of London, and a BSc in Agriculture from the University of the West Indies, and an MBA Executive Leadership from the Anglia Ruskin University, London, UK. I am talking about none other than your MP, MP Vidya Gopise. Could we give it up for her, please?
Thank you so much, Colleen. What a wonderful evening when we have so many special, vibrant speakers. I want to recognize the most, what we say, Rodney Charles, MP, with vibrant Rodney Charles, MP for Naparima, MP for Princestown, Barry Padarat, who is a small man with a very spicy mouth. I want to also recognize Sean Sobers, the muscle man himself, and Senator Saddam Hussein. His name alone makes you back. I want to also compliment our brilliant chairperson, Dr. Colleen Suku. I recognize the chairman for Princestown Regional Corporation, Mr. Gauri Tiwari, Councillor Meru, Senator Tahaka. I believe I saw Councillor Roland Hall. We have Brian. And we also, in the audience, I have the chairman of Pinal Debe Regional Corporation, Dr. Alan Sami. So all councillors, all the men, UNC and Trinidad and Tobago family, good evening. I wish really this evening to begin by thanking the supporters of UNC for their continued faith and dedication to our great party. The cause for which we are all committed, the prosperity of our people and their freedom from fear, so we can build a nation of opportunities for all. Our party, the UNC, has always demonstrated in and out of office that we care for our people, and in that regard our politics and our policies are geared towards creating the conditions for a better quality of life for all. This is so different from the PNM, who unashamedly self-serving and biased towards their friends, their families, financiers, forests, and recently we had Foster Cummings. This Rowley government is really jeopardizing the future of this country. The more I sit in Parliament and I listen to the PNM ministers answering questions, the more I realize that they are incompetent and out of touch. For years, 4 whole years, this government has blamed and blamed and blamed the UNC for the country's woes. The PNM does not realize how pathetic it sounds by complaining rather than doing. They talk while we work. PNM talks, UNC works. They complain, we deliver. If PNM has not realized it as yet, apart from their PNM sycophants, the population is fed up with the state of affairs of this nation. After 320 billion spent, what have they got to show? Let's be real. Compare this to what the UNC government did in 5 years. As the honorable leader says, you can see it, you can touch it, you can feel it, and in some cases, you can taste it. Friends, we really cannot endure another day of this PNM. They are ruining this country to the ground. They are clueless about what is happening in this country. This Rowley-led government will go down as the worst in the history of Trinidad and Tobago. People have lost hope. The citizens of Trinidad and Tobago have no faith in this government. Every single sector has either failed or is failing. Let us look at national security. What is the status of national security in this country? Our citizens here are under threat, the worst kinds of threat. Their homes are being invaded. Right here in Oropouche West, we were never known for crime. People would leave their doors open. They never had burglar proof or what do you call these cameras. Never. Now you're seeing everybody locking up. At 6 o'clock, you're seeing people inside like a ghost town. A couple months ago, a couple from Gaia Trace, they had to leave their home because bandits invaded and they were scared. A young couple with a young family. They were robbed. They had to leave. Imagine the trauma and the hurt the people are experiencing in this country under this PNM government. Almost every day in Woodland, we have vehicles being stolen, we have businesses being robbed, and people's homes invaded by criminals. Murders are on the increase. Right here in Oropouche West, I say we are not immune to it. A few months ago in La Romaine, there were 5 murders. In August, a 72-year-old man, Harry Lal, is 1 stone's throw away. He lived Bachia by the cemetery, brutally murdered in his home. He would have been the first person here this evening to come in any event I have, and the last person to leave. This is what we have reached under this PNM government. This is where we have reached. Our people really, the people are surrounded by a level of darkness that is unprecedented. People are living in fear. They feel unsafe. They feel unprotected. It seems that they are crying out for some higher power. Right here in Pinal, parents were murdered and a 4-year-old was found taking care of his 8-month-old brother. As a mother, it hurt me to see how this could happen right here in Pinal. You have 2 little children among 3 dead bodies in the same house. Tell me, brothers and sisters, what satanic forces roam this land? Yet the PNM tries to defend their governance. And what does the Prime Minister say about this? He said crime is not a light switch that can be turned on and off. Totally shameless man. Then he went to Barbados and admitted to the people in Barbados that I cannot help you because we're experiencing the same crime problem in Trinidad. Then he refers to crime as being an exotic disease. Is this man for real? He is totally out of touch, and I want to let you know, Dr. Rowley, that I will refer you to a book called In Sickness and in Power. It is written by a former senator in the British Parliament, Dr. David Owen. And what that guy did is that he looked at all the illnesses of the heads of government of different countries. I want you to read that book, Dr. Rowley. Let's see if you have any illness that you could talk about exotic disease and it's not a light switch. Have simply no care for the people of this land. You just don't care. When we look at flooding in this country, what happens? You know what happened? I want to speak to you really about this important issue because Oropouche West is really subjected to flooding. I'm sure we have constituents here who are right now in the audience who have lost fridge and stove and washing machine. And up to now, we had Brett, which was in 2017, June of 2017. And to this date, people are still awaiting compensation. We had flood 3 times in 2018, 3 times. And where was Dr. Rowley? When we had the flooding in Bamboo a week ago, where was Rowley? He ran away. He went to ring NASDAQ bell. That's where he went. And what he had a press conference and said, you know what? I don't have to be sitting by the telephone. I saw things visually, I saw things textually, and I saw things orally. That is his response. But I want to tell Rowley that when we had flood 3 times in Oropouche West, you didn't have to get it textually or visually or orally. You could have presented yourself bodily here in Oropouche West. But you refuse to do it. You refuse because you are not a prime minister for all of Trinidad and Tobago. I want this Prime Minister to know that the people of Oropouche West are people too. I am very happy that the people in Greenvale, they got their check in 7 days because they went through really a traumatic period. I'm happy for them. But what happened to the people in Oropouche West? Why is it that we have to take 2 years and counting to get compensation? Brothers and sisters, Shanti has the solution. It is not only the farmers who have been neglected by this PNM. Many of you here tonight would speak of how much you have lost. Every time the people in Oropouche West sees a dark cloud, they scamper around, they're looking for sandbag. They're looking for bricks so they could put their washing machine because they're tired losing fridge and stove. I have asked Rohan Sinanan on numerous occasions in Parliament, what is being done to address this flooding in Batchia, in Woodland, in Pluck Road, in Suchitrace, Durbasa? And I will tell you something. You cannot get a definite answer from a PNM minister on anything. They are just as clueless. We have a government that removes itself from every situation. 4 years later, and they're still blaming Kamla and the UNC. Now they have taken it to a step further. We have Stuart Young saying that people going and building houses in ponds. And then you have Rowley agreeing with him. But I want to tell Stuart Little and Rowley that everybody not as privileged as you all. Not everybody could buy a house in one Woodbrook place. Or not everybody could account how they get house in one Woodbrook place. Not everybody could stay high and dry. People build their homes where they have land and where they could afford it. And that is what the people in Oropouche West do. Where they have land is like in Lagoon, so they have to build their homes there. In fact, the people in Oropouche West, they cannot even afford to mind their son-in-laws in their homes. And if Rowley, I'm not sure if you high and dry, but the people in Oropouche West, parents tell their daughters that you have to find a husband who could provide a home for you. Because I cannot mind you, my son-in-law, and grandchildren. So that is what is happening under this government. So, ladies and gentlemen, as I wrap up, because I know most of you here would have really been out here, I think, since about 6 o'clock, building this big, beautiful crowd here and to listen to all these brilliant speakers. And I want to thank you all for coming out here today. And if I have only one word to sum up this Rowley government, is I could say, because I have court closed too, and I could say this Rowley government is really a total blight. It's like a plague cover this country. And I'm saying to Rowley that you have to call election years, but we have to remove this blight. And the only time you could remove a blight is that you have to get some fungicide. And the UNC will come back re-energized to take back this government. And we have to bring back Kamla Persad-Bissessar as our Prime Minister. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you all, and please have a safe journey back home.
vote will decide our destiny. Your vote will decide what you want to be. Your vote can foretell our country's fate. Move and use it well before it's too late. If it is that who you're voting, fail beyond a doubt. When you're voting, vote them out. Vote them out. If it is they prove it to be only full amount. When you're voting, vote them out. Vote them out. If it is the time is now that change should come about. Just as how you vote them in, vote them out. Register and vote them out. If they don't see, vote them out. Stain your finger and vote them out. Show them no mercy, vote them out. Vote them out with total scorn and utter disdain.